bitches, every city in my tribe. Look behind. Booty dominate the world, peaches ripe.
So I respect your opinions. For me, I'm a Muslim, and where I am from, in terms of my culture and religion, men are given their roles and women are also given their roles. And in my religion, men are, given the responsibility of taking caring financially and protecting the women and, basically helping women in financially, physically, emotionally, in every way. And in America, if a man is given that kind of authority, they see it as superiority, So in my religion, the authority is different. Over here, the authority is seen as superiority. So when men that have that kind of role, they take advantage of women, and women are not treated right. So all they want is they become feminist. Now they want their roles and this, that. And even I just feel like that's the American culture to like degrade women, and like everywhere in the world is not like that. Because in America, every movie you look at,
UN.
in
This was
every
done.
movie,
Wait. This was done by the UN, this study that found that 90% of men and women are biased against women. So it's not a United States thing. Even when we look at the US in terms like the equality index from the World Population Report, United States isn't even top 10. It's 30 down. And so then if you want to bring religion into it, I would argue that all Abrahamic religions support patriarchal ideas, which is male dominance and superiority, and female submission and inferiority.
well, why would you say superior? I'm a Muslim myself, and in my religion, I think the role that's given to men is really good. That way, women don't have to, because what I see in America, there are some women, even I have like friends that are actually single mothers. They're having to do 2 jobs, go to college, plus take care of their kids. So I'm like, what does your husband do? Like, why don't your man like take care of you financially? That way you don't have to like drain yourself. So where is the equality? Like, where is the fairness? There is no fairness.
I think equality under capitalism for women is going to be very difficult because, like you just pointed out, it requires some form of dependence on men, especially when there's children involved.
But, according to my religion, that's not really depending on a man, because men are given their role. They're supposed to take care of their women financially, and protect them as well. And if you call that depending, that means he's also depending on his woman, because his woman is being home, taking care of the kids. That's also, in a way, him being dependent, because if she was not doing that, then he would have to hire someone to take care of the kids, right? So they're both playing their own roles.
Right, but if we're going to assume that both partners, don't suffer some kind of a tragic event like death, if women want to leave the relationship, it impacts them more because they don't have access to a high earning income. That's why being a stay-at-home mom, I would say, is a very high risk investment, especially under capitalism. And if you don't have essentially the means to basic necessities without a man providing for you, that is dependence.
Well, okay.
To parenthood, then essentially they do have to be dependent on a man financially.
Okay, so I agree to disagree. In terms of like how things are in America, okay, that's what you're saying is true. It is true that, okay, a woman like having kids, it is a risk. But in my religion, men are told to actually like financially totally provide for women, take care of women in every way. Plus, there's actually, if a woman doesn't work, our prophet, they used to give an allowance to their wife every single month. That means the work that she do in home is not actually devalued. That is valued. Plus, she does get a kind of like a salary for that as well. That is recognized, that is respected, and that is fair. But if you look at it from like how things are in America, then that is actually in a disadvantage, because from what I see, the culture over here is every TV show you see, the man is cheating on their wife, the wife is cheating on their husband. Every songs you see, they're degrading women. The woman is running with the bag. She's some gold digger, or she's some bitch, or like they're always like, you know, kind of degrading women. The
It's
culture.
difficult when you say, okay, it's difficult when you say 9 points at once because it's difficult for me to respond to 9 points. What culture and country are you referring to?
I'm referring to like if you look at like South Asian culture, you know, like women are praised. Women are not seen the same how women are seen in America. In American culture, I would say women are degraded. Women are, even in songs, movies, it's their culture. Like, unfortunately, and that's really sad. You know, that's really sad how women are treated. And I think that's why feminism is a thing over here, you know?
Are you talking to me or are you just talking?
I'm talking to you.
Okay. What
And
culture?
the audience.
What culture are you referring to?
Like South Asian culture, that's where I'm from, and I think culture is more influenced by religion as well.
Right. I agree. It is influenced. I'm sorry. What country? South Asian?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't South Asian have a huge rise in feminism?
It does have, but I would say in terms of culture,
Why would
the
there
way...
be a huge rise of feminism in South Asian culture if women have all these things?
So I'm saying in terms of culture, but it's way less than how it is in America. That's what I'm saying. And I'm like answering your question because you said feminism is still needed. I think it's needed in America because American culture is to degrade women. If you look at all the movies, songs, everything, you know, they're just degrading women. That's what I'm saying. But if you look at like other culture, movies, songs, they actually praise women. They like, you know, in my every songs, every movies that I watch that are like, you know, from my country, they compare women with the moon. Men are saying, oh, I'm going to cross 7 oceans, move mountains to see her smile once. And in America, they're saying, what do you bring to the table? You see what kind of treatment women get in America? That's the problem. And that's why women want feminism and stuff in America, because they're not getting their rights. They're not treated right. That's the point I'm making.
I agree.
Yeah. So if men have this kind of approach, what do you bring to the table? And there are men out there who are saying, I'm going to move mountains. I'm going to do everything to see her smile once. There's the treatment in other countries that they are putting on their TVs, on their songs, in everything. Women are looked as like she's the prize. In America, every song I hear is like she is a gold digger. She is someone who's running with the bag. Like everything is so toxic. If it's not the right thing, and every man who are growing up from their childhood watching this kind of things in their TV, in their movies, in their songs, how are they going to be the right man? How are they going to treat women right? And that's the thing that America is like in Hollywood. That's the thing that they're like showing, and that is affecting men mentally, women as well, you know?
Right, but I still think feminism is needed globally, even if we look at South Asia, like violence against women is still really high.
Yeah,
In many
there is problems.
Pacific, the proportion of women who report having experienced physical or sexual violence by an intimate partner in their lifetime is substantially higher than the global average of 27%. At 35% in India, 38% in Timor-Leste, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, and 50% over in Fiji.
Yeah, I haven't really done much research, but yeah, maybe you're right. The thing
Okay.
is yeah.
It sounds like we agree. Is there anything else you wanted to discuss?
Yeah, I mean that's something that I wanted to say, like how the culture over here, they encourage this kind of behavior from men. And that's one of the biggest problem, I thought. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
Yeah, that girl sound right. I want that girl for being brave and coming on here and speaking her voice. She's absolutely right.
Okay. Did you?
No,
have any-
yeah, I absolutely agree with her. So why do you think feminism is still needed?
So the UN did a study in 2020 and found almost 90% of men and women are biased against women. So I would say that that's a global issue.
90% of men and women? So women are biased against other women?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So it's not just a men issue, it's a woman issue too. So are you going to speak for the women also?
I think it's a patriarchal issue, yes.
Okay, it's a patriarchal issue. So how are women also included in that patriarchy? Because you're saying that men are biased against other women too.
Right. So patriarchy essentially has what's called misogyny as the legal force that pushes women and girls back into patriarchal roles. And women who experience this type of environment can have internalized misogyny.
Internalized misogyny? Okay, so how do you want to cure them? These like other women that have this like disease, how are you going to cure them?
Feminism.
With feminism.
As well as destroying the patriarchy.
Destroy the patriarchy. Yeah, destroy it. Woo! I don't get it.
I know you don't.
Yeah, I really don't. Can you explain it to me?
In what capacity?
How are men running everything? What's the patriarchy?
The patriarchy is a system of male domination and superiority and female submission and inferiority. I would say when we look at most economic, business, social systems, they are male dominated.
Okay, do you know how many billionaire women there are?
Off the top of my head, no.
Billionaires. Okay, 337. Do you know how many billionaire men there are? Let's take a look. We're looking at the 0.0006%.
Okay.
Let's see.
I think there's 1,600 billionaires just in the United States.
Okay, so worldwide, there's the 88% of billionaires were men globally. Okay.
Okay.
And so that makes it, what is that, 12% were women? Okay.
All right.
So how do we fix this? How do we make it 50-50? What is the goal exactly? Like an even 50-50 split?
No, I don't think that essentially capitalism is designed to serve women or LGBTQ or BIPOC people.
Yeah,
I think this is
capitalism.
designed to ultimately favor white men.
Okay.
So, I would consider abolishing the system of capitalism.
If you had to rank the importance, right? Is it wealth or is it opportunity that, like females lack?
I would say probably both, but also it has to do with experience.
So opportunity. So like lack of opportunity that women have?
It may not necessarily be opportunity, but also attitudes that are negative towards women.
Okay. You do know who does the hiring, right? In these businesses and in these companies?
Depends.
HR. Human resources.
Okay.
Okay. Human resources, that field, what is it dominated by?
I assume women?
Yeah.
Human resources may do hiring when it comes to like entry level jobs, but upper level jobs are
The corporate ladder. Okay.
non-entry level positions. And I would still say that bosses and other managerial staff have a say in entry level hiring. Human resources just make sure that certain standards or procedures are covered.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's looking 50-50 to me. 60% of manager level positions are filled by men and the 40% are filled by women. That's pretty even to me.
Again, it's not about...
women occupy 36% of senior management positions, which is a very, very, that's really good.
I think that also depends on the industry. And you've already cited that a majority of billionaires are men. I'm sure you would agree that a majority of government representation is men. Women do wake up.
There's a lot of like very, very, very famous female, like politicians. I think a lot of the Congress, huh?
Is the majority not men?
Well, I mean, we already established it's not going to be 50-50. I mean, there's a lot of fields that are dominated by women also.
Is the majority men?
In what field? Or
Congress.
industry? I have no idea.
Okay. Then why did you say that's not true?
Well, it's not true because off the top of my head, I can name at least like 5 congresswomen that are female. Let me see. Anyways, go ahead. Yeah. There's 17 in California. That's just one state.
And isn't there 54 delegates
What? In each state?
in California?
54 delegates?
Yeah.
The number of women in Congress is at an all-time high.
Correct. It is at a all-time high, but is it the majority?
Let's see. "60 women."
Is that a majority?
Kamala Harris is vice president. That's pretty good. And she's black.
Is it a majority?
Yeah. But you guys also have Kamala Harris.
Wait, so 60%
Mhm.
is a majority.
60%?
60 people is a majority. We're still on, is Congress a majority female or male?
It makes up just over a quarter.
Okay, so that's not majority.
27%. It's not the majority, no. But
So I
Well,
was
it doesn't
correct in saying that a majority of Congress is men.
yeah, you are right. Hmm.
Great.
But
So just because
sorry.
Kamala Harris is vice president doesn't mean that systemic sexism doesn't exist. That's like saying that Barack Obama was president, therefore racism is gone. Like, it's just idiotic.
We made a lot of progress.
Really? That's your measurement?
What? Yeah. I mean, the guy got elected to president of the United States twice.
You want to highlight
What?
8 years? You want to highlight 8 years
Yeah.
over the entire history of the United States?
Oh, well, you can't do that. No, come on. That's not fair. You have to take into like relative events. So like, for an example, what you're doing, women have actually ruled for a majority of mankind, right? In like the earlier years, women were seen as like goddesses. However, in more early times, in like the 1800s, 1700s, they didn't have the right to vote. So you're taking that kind of stance too. You're taking relative events over the entire timeline.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are. Because you're sitting here saying that, females don't have any rights. But for a really long time, you guys did. But it was recently taken away up until like 200 years ago.
No, I would say patriarchy was created around the advent of agriculture, which we can see like around 900 BC or 9000 BC.
Yeah, but a lot of those farmers were guys. Labor was seen as like a guy's job. What? What's so funny?
It's just a dumb thing to say.
Yeah, it is. A lot of the farmers were guys, and a lot of the girls were seen as like the.
Farming was done by both men and women. Like, what do you like? Even if we take like the hunter-gatherer, like, what do you think gathering is?
Yeah, the hunters were guys. They would go out and get the sport, and then the girls would, cook.
Even if we take that as true, which the man hunter has been debunked, like hunting wasn't a sustainable form of food because there wasn't refrigeration, and hunting could come essentially in ebbs and flows. So even if we take that into account, a majority of sustenance that were provided to tribes were through gathering, which if you're saying that women did that, then yes, women provided a majority of food to the tribes. In terms of labor committed, hunters did about 1/5 and gatherers did about 4/5.
Well, what do you think about women that aren't able to climb the corporate ladder because they like prioritize their family over work?
What do you mean?
I mean, like, what do you say about that? Because that's actually the main reason why they're not able to climb the corporate ladder, because they're not as dedicated as their male counterparts are when it comes to work.
Can I have a source on that?
Yeah. A gender policy report .umn.edu.
What's the title?
The title is Women's Arduous Climb Up the Corporate Ladder by Tiana Barnes. She sounds like a feminist, but I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt.
Okay, and where in here does it say that women valuing family and their children prevents them from climbing the corporate ladder?
It's in the hold Control and F, and then look up expertise around women.
The inclusion of 360-degree feedback, blind selection after action reviews are several approaches to reduce gender bias in promotion. More of our companies should be active in collaboration with and involvement in social movements that address misconduct against women in the workplace and social science. Scientists with the expertise around women being in organizations.
Women's well-being in organizations, yeah. So there's the implication that women aren't being like accommodated for when it comes to their mental health because of the stresses under the job and taking care of their family.
So you've just implied that. This doesn't say that women's devotion to their children is preventing them from climbing the corporate ladder.
Well, no, it does. You just have to read the whole article. But what do you think that means then? You can, I mean, you can read it. Well, it's not just one sentence.
You cited this, and so I'm asking you to tell me where the information is. Because I assume this source cites what you're saying, correct?
Yeah.
So where does it cite that?
Okay. So it says here, give me 1 second. Yeah, so there's a quote from, it doesn't say where the quote is, but it's saying this boys' club is blaringly evident within corporate America, where women hold only about 27% of manager positions and 19% of senior leadership roles. So,
Okay.
The author is stating that there's stereotypes against females, and although research shows that women are just as effective as leaders, a disconnect between the gender stereotypes of women and the presumptive characteristics of leaders still exists. Let's see.
I mean, honestly, this is a good for me.
Yeah.
This isn't an effective for you.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm trying to explain to you is that even though there are these barriers to entries and the overwhelming amount of HR employees are females, you're saying that there's a internal like misogynistic kind of thing, right? However, this article,
And that's the source just said.
yeah, And this article is also saying that there's stereotypes against women in the workplace too, right?
Correct.
Okay. So how do we fix this issue? What's the solution?
Wait. So that's a different topic. You made the assertion that women are not successful in the corporate business world because they're too focused on family.
That's a reason. Yeah.
I asked you for a source on that, and you did not provide me a source on that.
I did. I said that there's biases.
Biases does not mean that women are focusing on their family first.
Yeah, but why do you think?
Biases means
Yeah,
the
but
typical stereotype that women don't make good leaders, that men are more inherently qualified, that they're authoritative, that they are able to fulfill these roles better than women simply for the quality of being a man.
yeah, no, I'm telling you. Why do you think these people, or not these people, the higher ups that are their male counterparts, are telling them that they don't deserve a raise? Why do you think that is?
Because they're sexist.
Well, they're sexist, but they also believe that they don't deserve to get a raise because they're not as dedicated to their work. That's a big reason for it. Why do you think there's the?
Where does it say that?
I mean, what do you think? These people are gonna come out and just say, "Oh yeah, I didn't give her a raise because I know
don't know
she's."
why you would make that claim if it doesn't say that.
Okay. What do you think discrimination is?
Discrimination is a prejudice based on certain aspects of your identity.
Yeah. So why do you think that women in the workplace succumb to these gender stereotypes?
Because men see women as inferior.
Okay, inferior workers, inferior leaders, but once a woman acquires like a leadership, like position, she's often held up as like an equal to her other female counterparts too, right? So her performance.
I would disagree.
You would disagree?
Yeah, I think women have to continuously prove themselves, that they're not just ever really given the benefit of the doubt. But that's here.
So you think like once a guy is like
This is a pivot. This is a pivot. You said that women are not promoted because they are focusing on their children. Where your own source that I asked you for
didn't. No, I said one of the big reasons why women aren't employed into these higher up places in the corporate workspace is because there's the fear and the idea that women focus more on their families than they do on work.
Your source
I wasn't saying that was just one reason. Obviously, there's not just one reason.
Your source does not say that.
I mean, it obviously says that there's biases and that there's
The biases is that women aren't capable or competent.
No, it didn't just say competence. It just generalized it.
Women, that's exactly. Gender stereotypes largely explain inequalities within leadership. While many stereotypes have shifted also with time, many also remain static, including the idea women are overly sensitive and less ambitious.
Okay, how about this? How about the pay?
What do you mean? How about the pay? I'm gonna let you pivot because continuing this.
No. I said one of the reasons why women aren't employed, or I'm sorry, women aren't able to climb the corporate ladder and be employed into these higher up, like positions, is because of the biases that their male counterparts have against them, and the stereotypes that they have. Which, by the way, it is a stereotype that women, when they work, they focus more on their families. Everyone knows that that's a stereotype. Are you going to say I'm wrong?
I would say women do focus on their families more than men.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Okay. So, what about the pay, right? So let's say, because this is saying that, there's a gender equity, in pay that is an ongoing battle. So what's your solution to this? Because this is saying...
I have already addressed this. I told you that capitalism does not favor women or BIPOC people. Therefore, I am anti-capitalist.
What are you? What's your ideal government?
An ideal economic system would be communism.
Communism,
Yes.
like Cuba.
Cuba's a good start.
Are you being serious?
I mean, we can see, look at China too. China's lifted a lot of people out of poverty.
What about North Korea?
I would say North Korea is more like dictatorship.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, so you're a communist.
Yes. Hence my name, Comrade.
Damn.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Well, no, wait, hang on. Just one more minute, please. I'm actually interested in this. So, you think
I was
that?
thinking someone for a Venmo.
Oh, yeah, no problem. That was me. I just sent you $20 because you're a communist. So what's your like? You do know how communism works, right? In like the workplace.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not only a slave to the government, but you're a slave to your employer as well. So if you want to clock out 5 minutes early, I mean, you know what's going to happen to you, right?
No, you're not.
What? What do you mean?
What's the main principle under communism?
I'm not sure. You tell me.
Why are you explaining communism to me?
I want to see what your idea of it is.
Wait. Why are you explaining communism to me if when I ask you what the main principle under communism is, you don't know?
I want to know where your head is at.
No, well, you tell me where your head is at first, Pumpkin. What is the main principle of communism?
Well, it's that each person does the best that they can.
No.
No, what is it then?
What is the proletariat?
A proletarian?
The proletariat. Yeah, what is that?
No idea.
What is the bourgeoisie?
No, what is a Qinghua?
So these are all communist terms,
Yeah.
which is why I don't know why you're telling me you're explaining communism to me when
No.
you don't know
I wanna
term.
know what you think it is. Like, what's your definition? Because like I've talked to communists before, and they all have like a different definition. So I just want to know what your ideal like
That's where the
communist.
proletariat owns the means of production.
So they own the like how much of like let's say a portion of food goes out every single like week.
It's not even what the means of production are. No,
What's the
like
means of production?
I'm not here to be your teacher, baby boy.
Well,
If you don't,
hey, baby girl, you said production, and when I think of production, I'm thinking like what's that?
I'm telling you right now that I don't have time to teach you about communism while you try and
Well, what if I want to be a communist? What if I want to join the Communist Party?
Google is free, and guess what? All of Marx's work.
But wait, Google says that it's advocating class war and leading to a society in which all property is publicly owned and each person works and is paid according to their abilities and needs. Isn't that what I just told you? I told you that people do the best that they can.
That is not it. And you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not going to continue it because you're annoying and you don't know anything.
I'm so sorry that you think that society is everyone should have everything that's publicly owned and each person is paid off of Social Security.
Anything that's not you don't understand what
You want free handouts and you want everyone to sit at home and get Social Security check. Everything is your mind.
Yeah, they are muting you,
Yeah.
and honestly, they're doing you a favor because what you're reading, you don't even.
Oh, wait. Okay, hang on. You're a communist, right?
I've already told you I'm not.
Why don't you move to Cuba?
With you.
Well, hang on. Why don't you move to Cuba?
I'm this close to dropping you.
Well, why do you live in America? Just move to Cuba. You know you can get a flight ticket right now.
Okay. Goodbye.
See you later, alligator. I'll see you in Cuba, okay? Make sure you get a big fest.
My steak dinner ran away.
You didn't. That's not even a steak dinner. It's not like. Man, everyone's here now.
I messaged Sean. I was in Liv's live for the longest. Jeff, wait, how?
Okay, like for example, in a rape case or a medical case or, something in that nature. I think people have to be a lot more responsible.
Wait.
Go ahead.
How do you legislate to where people who have been raped, and please use censored language for TikTok, receive abortions, but people who have not been raped do not?
Well, in a rape case, for example, there's usually a record of the event, right?
What do you wait. So number one, please use censored language rather than saying rape. Say grape.
Oh, grape. Oh, okay, sorry. I'm very outspoken. I really speak my mind when it comes to things. I don't believe in censorship.
Good job. Let's everyone give Rudy a round of applause for being outspoken and against censorship, because that's what the conversation was regarding. So please tell me, how would you create legislation where people who have been raped receive abortions and people who have not do not?
Okay, well, in a grape case, there's a record of it because, and it's not always in every case that a woman will go to the authorities and explain what happened. Okay, I mean, I realize there's that certain portion of people that don't go to the authorities, but there are some that do. And I wish that all people in that regard, that if that happened to, that they would go to the authorities and et cetera. But in that kind of case, you've got a record of that. And, that would be something you would follow up with if the victim became pregnant.
Let me ask you. So does there need to be a police report?
Well, there again, I mean, I would say yes, but the problem I said before is that not all of those individuals go to the authorities.
A majority do not.
Yeah, that is a problem. Okay, that's the problem right there. I feel that women need more of a support structure in that situation, because what we've got right now.
Like, I appreciate that you want to be descriptive, but I really want to make sure that we get through this in a direct manner. So the question is, how would you make meaningful legislation to where people who have been the victim get abortions and people who haven't don't? So would you require a police report? That's a yes or no.
Yeah, yes, I would have to say yes.
Does there have to be a guilty verdict or an arrest?
No, I would say a claim more so than anything, just the claim itself, because sometimes the courts get bogged down into months and months of litigation and crap. I think just the allegation that it is a rape situation, or grape situation, that it would be an automatic, Okay.
So all a woman has to do is file a police report and she can have an abortion.
There's a lot of problems also in the going to the authorities. Their structure is not as proper, in all situations. I mean, there's a lot of gray area there that happens, and that is a problem.
I'll get to my point. My point is that you cannot legislate exceptions.
Yeah, they do that in court proceedings. They call it extenuating circumstances.
I'm talking about when it comes to abortion. Any type of legislation you make, you cannot legislate exceptions, even in the event that it will severely cause severe medical outcomes, death, or in the case of rape, You cannot legislate those exceptions.
Well, you take a look at another. I'm not saying that that's the only thing that females should be being able to go on, because you've got some situations where the people are absolutely poor and living in tents, and there's no way they can bring a child into the world and say that they're going to give 100% care onto that child. So there are some other situations there that need to be addressed besides the grape case. Okay. I think that, like I said, I mean, this is a big area to be looking at.
Are you listening to me?
Sure, go ahead.
What statement did I make?
That you say there shouldn't be any exceptions to a grape case or
No.
an abortion type thing.
No. Well, yes. And I'm saying if you are going to make laws surrounding abortion to where people are denied abortion, any exception is essentially non-legislatable, which means that you cannot make effective laws.
Okay, but what about in medical? Okay, like if it's a medical situation that if a woman is going to bear a child and it's going to affect her health, like I said, there's a lot of areas there that need to be looked at.
There are 13 women who are suing the state of Texas because they were in medical need of an abortion and were denied one.
That's wrong.
So I'm telling you that your pro-life position, if we are talking about it legislatively, fundamentally, exceptions do not exist.
No, if you're talking about bringing abortion into the mix here, okay, you've got to have some actual grounds to be talking that way, because you don't want women to be using it as a form of birth control. Okay, responsibility is on the parent.
Why not? Why not?
Why not what?
Why is it wrong for a woman to have multiple abortions?
Well, I mean, because you're talking about ending a little child's life before it's even had a chance to do anything. Okay, I think it should be a responsible term as far as coming into this.
Wait, so wouldn't by that logic it be wrong to have one abortion?
Like I said, there are some circumstances that allow, extenuating circumstances that allow for it. If you don't take extenuating circumstances behind things, then your entire system is going to collapse. Okay?
You do not have an actual pragmatic view of abortion laws, I think, because you haven't done the research. When we talk to people who are pro-life, if you want abortion to be illegal, you have to be okay with abortion in all cases.
Well, then it's wrong.
Then it's wrong. That is the reality of abortion laws.
Then it's wrong. Okay? I mean, that the law in itself is wrong. Okay?
Then you agree there should be no laws regulating abortion.
There should be laws regulating abortion, and I said it's regarding the circumstances. Okay.
Can I caveman this up a little bit?
Sure, go ahead.
You say abortion good when grape or hurt tummy?
I'm sorry, say that again.
You say abortion good when grape or hurt tummy? Yes.
There's also some other circumstances.
Let's just stick with those two.
Well,
let's just stick with those two. I'm already
okay. Let's stick with those two. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How you make work?
How do I make it work?
How you make work? Yes.
How do I make it work? Well, if there's a grape case that is reported to the authorities, or that a doctor is coming in there saying that if it's detrimental to the female, there's your case. That's what makes the case okay for the abortion.
Let's use the term woman, but
sure.
What do you consider detrimental? What is well?
That if bringing a child into the world is going to kill the female, okay.
Let's say woman. Um, so
Woman,
so it would have
let's
to
say woman.
unalive.
Okay, if
And,
the medical
and
thing is going to kill the woman in having a
so
baby, yeah, I agree.
so your benchmark for detrimental is unaliving.
What do you mean?
So
You would
it's
rather
not
bring
detrimental.
the child into the world where
It's not it's
the
not
woman gets killed out
detrimental.
of the deal and
Hold
the
on, hold
baby's
on,
got
hold
no
on,
mother.
hold on. It's not that you wouldn't consider it detrimental if they had to lose, like, let's say, their gallbladder or have some debilitating illness because of the pregnancy. Would that be detrimental?
No, I'm talking about if it's going to severely terminate the woman's ability of life, okay, where the
That's
child is going to be
gibberish.
born
You're
into a
severely.
motherless
Hold on.
situation.
When you
Go
say
ahead.
severely terminate, that's like saying a little pregnant. Like, it's your life is either terminated or it isn't, right? So you're only considering cases where a woman's life is in jeopardy. Is that what you're saying?
Or a grape case.
So
You said the two situations, right?
yeah, no, but
Okay, so
let's
if
do
it's a
one at a time. So when you're
detrimental
saying
pregnancy,
detrimental to you means the woman's life is in jeopardy, correct?
pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Are you a doctor, and would you be able
No,
to know
I'm not a
what?
doctor. I'm a civil
Okay,
rights
so what?
activist.
So just so you know, doctors don't say you are going to unalive if you do this. They speak in percentages. So what percentage likelihood would you say, okay, that's the percentage that's the sweet spot where it's now detrimental?
If if a woman has become pregnant, okay, and there would be complications in that pregnancy where the woman's
That
life
that
will be
happens in
terminated, the doctor's
100%.
obviously going to give you a pretty good analysis
We
of that.
have asked you for a percent.
Yeah.
Give us a number.
If the doctor's going to be able to stand up and say, this woman is going to not make it, the pregnancy, okay, that it's going to
That's not
harm
how
her
doctors.
life.
That's why I asked you if you were a doctor. That's not how
No, I'm
doctors.
not a doctor.
No, but that's not how doctors speak. At least it seems like you learned about doctors from watching ER or Grey's Anatomy. They speak in percentages. They say the likelihood of X is
Okay.
Y. So
Okay.
when they say, so like, let's say we have a woman who's pregnant and the likelihood of her unaliving from this pregnancy is, give or take, given statistics, about 30%. Would
Okay.
you say that's enough of a percentage for me to go, whoa, okay, time out. Let's talk about this?
Yeah, I would say I agree with that.
What about 20%?
I would still say that if there's any harm whatsoever going to come to the woman as a result of giving child, okay, that an abortion would be something that could be considered.
And so for grape, as long as there's a police report and as long as it's 1% chance, congratulations, you're pro-choice. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for flying. Thank you for flying Air Jeff. I don't know why it took that so long for you to get to that.
Well,
you are now pro-choice and
Okay.
you okay with abortion in all cases. Welcome to feminism. You get your ticket on the way out. I don't know if Kenzie wants to talk to you about anything else, but this was amazing. Thank you.
This is utterly painful.
Well, when people are talking about situations like this and they think it's all cut and dried, okay, that it's so easy, okay, then you're really not looking at the full scope, okay? And I think that's where society really falters in a lot of areas because they don't look at the full scope of it.
Okay, let me ask you, when do rights begin?
As soon as you're born.
Okay, so a fetus has no rights.
Well, no, I say a fetus should have rights.
Well, I'm asking you to make a normative claim. When should rights begin?
Well, I would say when a child comes into this world, I would say. But also, conception is also the making of a child. Okay, I mean, how do you disregard the making of a child compared to when the child is born? Like for example, when a female is pregnant, and one of the biggest things that a woman is asked or told is, don't
Are you
drink
looking at your
alcohol,
screen?
don't smoke, and all of
Hold
that
on,
stuff,
hold on.
right?
Are you
So
are you
you're
looking at,
already,
no, no.
once a woman is pregnant, you're already trying.
When does pregnancy occur? I'm sure your podcast is just you rambling.
Oh, I didn't realize I was muted. I was telling this person that when you're talking, Rudy, make sure you're looking at the screen, because Kenzie was trying to get your attention and you continued to talk about the book that you didn't read on your summer vacation and making a book report about it, instead of paying attention to the question that Kenzie had. So just look at your screen, and if you see Kenzie talking, just stop for a second.
Oh, I apologize if I overspoke.
Rudy, when does pregnancy occur?
A pregnancy occurs when put the two things together, the man and the woman's egg there together, and you've started a pregnancy.
So pregnancy begins at conception.
Right.
What is a vagina?
Well, I mean, come on. You're talking about a female part and then difference between a female part and a male part, right?
Right. I would like you to give me the definition of vagina in your own words.
Well, vagina, you just said it. Vagina, penis. Okay, I mean, there,
Can you define?
No, I just say there's a female part here and a male part. Okay.
So you don't know when pregnancy begins.
I just said at conception.
Well, that's incorrect.
So you're saying that when is your opinion when conception starts?
Conception starts during fertilization.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
That's not when pregnancy starts.
Oh, okay. When does pregnancy start?
Pregnancy starts at implantation. That fertilized egg actually implants into the uterine wall.
Okay. That's basically what I'm saying.
It's not.
You're trying to overtalk the situation here. Okay.
No, I'm trying to highlight that you know very little.
No, that's exactly what you're trying to do. Highlight something different.
No, you didn't. I'm highlighting that you know very little about the process of pregnancy as well as female anatomy. And it's because of this ignorance surrounding pregnancy that you have these opinions.
I just said to you that when the male part and the female part come together, and of course it gets into the lining of the woman's uterus as conception that you called it, that's when pregnancy starts. There's no debate on that.
That's not conception. Implantation
or
is not conception.
implantation, whatever. I mean, we're talking about a little mix-up of words here.
Rudy, I don't know who taught you about the birds and the bees, but the difference between conception and implantation is the same as the difference between you beeping your car to unlock it and putting it in gear to drive.
Well, I mean, if you want, it's like apples and oranges here, okay?
No, these things are important.
Well, you're talking apples and oranges here.
No, okay? That's an analogy. That's literally, this is like that. But the distinction is important, is what I want you to understand.
Well, when do you think conception starts?
I've already told you.
Yeah, okay. So we've got that all figured out now, eh? When the child starts its first journey on becoming a human being, that's when conception starts, right? Are we all clear on that?
Conception is different than implantation. Implantation is the start of pregnancy. Conception can occur, and pregnancy may never occur.
Can I ask why?
Sure, go ahead.
Why this even matters if we're talking about Like why this even matters when we're talking about abortion in the first place.
Because he can't substantiate when rights begin in a consistent way, as well as just the basic knowledge of you want these laws in place when you don't even know how pregnancy happens.
Yeah. But I was more so asking him like why it matters when he believes that like life starts. Like why does it matter that let's say that let's say that life begins at conception, right? Why does that matter?
It matters because you're talking about an abortion situation here where the child hasn't even come out of the womb, and
Okay.
they're going in there to take that or end the life of that child from conception. Okay, that's
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think the point of it.
You don't care about that. You don't care about that.
What don't I care
and
about?
my question is why does that matter?
I just, it matters because you're talking about an abortion.
No. What I'm asking is like, why does it matter that we're like, let's say life begins at conception and doing an abortion would end the life of what you would call a child. Why should I care?
Why should you care?
Yes.
I think the questions were, when does it become applicable to being okay for a doctor to perform an abortion?
Absolutely, because
Okay.
that was one of the original questions,
Right.
right? Because you like doctors speak in percentages. We went through that whole
Right.
thing, right?
Right.
So again, what I'm asking is why should we care if abortion? Let's say I grant you everything, and abortion is ending the life, right? Why should I care?
Well, there's no basis for even whether that becomes something or not. I mean, if you care or not, that's entirely up to you. That
Yeah,
has
but
nothing
what
to
you're
do with
talking about,
anybody's
hold
opinion.
on. No, it does, because you're talking about what it ought to be. You're talking about abortion ought to be allowed for specific conditions and nothing else, right? That's
No,
what we're talking about.
no, I'm saying that in some cases there are extenuating circumstances to allow an abortion.
How
Okay.
is that different than what I said?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Sean. A conversation with an orange would be more productive. Like,
I didn't mean to derail. It just got so far into the weeds, and I
you're
was
not
like, why is
derailing.
this?
Like, you ask this person a direct question and he doesn't grasp. Like, lights on, no one's home.
I was done the second time he asked about conception, like we were starting over. Like he hit reset on the video game.
Hello, welcome.
Hi, how are y'all doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. I was having a hard time listening to that guy. He couldn't wrap his head around the whole conception implantation thing and the difference between the two. That's why I just really think that like most men shouldn't even speak on the topic because they don't even understand how it works.
Sure. Are you here to debate?
Sure. I'm not really pro-abortion. I'm still pro-choice, but like I feel like that's an individual's choice that they should make on their own. But yeah, not pro-abortion. Like I guess
Pro-abortion is to destigmatize the term abortion. Abortion is considered a form of healthcare, and I am pro-healthcare, therefore I am pro-abortion.
Okay, I got that. Yeah, I did kind of jump in whenever that guy was talking and stuff. I mean, personally, I couldn't do it, but I'm not going to judge other people for doing it for whatever reason. You know, whether it's SA or underage or anything like that.
It doesn't seem like we disagree on abortion. Was there anything else you had?
You read through your list. Stay-at-home moms facing net negative under capitalism. What do you mean by that?
Stay-at-home mom is a high-risk investment under capitalism, where more often than not, it does not work out for you.
Okay. So yeah, I guess we agree on that one too. I'm just reading through them. Yeah, okay, so I guess I really don't disagree with you on any of them.
You guys, I really try to be polite to all guests, but I feel like when I make it very clear in capital letters, please only request if you disagree. Like if you don't disagree, I'm gonna kick you. Like, I don't like doing that, but I've set very clear rules. I would appreciate if everyone would respect them. Maybe I should be like Parker. Yo, only join if you disagree.
Hello?
You're welcome.
Is there an echo?
I don't think so.
Okay. So for the first thing, grape culture upholds patriarchy. This oftentimes occurs in like what your definition of grape culture is, or my disagreement.
Grape culture is the trivialization or normalization of grape and sexual harassment.
Okay, that there would be a disagreement there. And then stay-at-home moms face a net negative under capitalism. What do you think? Why do you think stay-at-home moms become stay-at-home moms?
Because they want to be with their kids.
Yeah. So why would we, when we're weighting positives versus negatives and what is net good, should we be weighting why they're doing what they're doing, and not just like financial outcomes?
Well, that is the reason. It's essentially a high risk investment because you're investing in the essentially the domestic work. It is unpaid, so because of that, you have to be dependent on your spouse. When there's financial dependency on your spouse, not only can you forego things like education, you're also giving up, creating a huge gap in your resume should the relationship end. You're more susceptible to physical or financial abuse. And then should the relationship end, you have can actually also lose your children as well as your housing.
Now, I'm not disagreeing that there are risks to being a stay-at-home mom, but saying that is a net negative seems to be ignoring the major positive, which is the amount of time you do spend with your kids. And if that is what you value primarily, then it doesn't seem you can argue that it's a net negative.
Okay. That is a positive, I agree, but there are other negatives that come with that I would say is a net negative. And ultimately, it's the dependency on another person, as well as even net negatives that come when it comes to child rearing. Because you only have a single income, you're more likely to be subject to poverty, less likely to have other forms of basic necessities such as insurance, which means if you have poverty, again, there's more stress factors, which can lead to divorce, which can cause negative outcomes when it comes to the children as well. And the children also not having their basic necessities met.
I'm still kind of disagreeing that being dependent on another person is a net negative. It seems I can easily understand it being a risk, but in terms of risks, there doesn't mean that it's a net negative choice. There's a difference between like something being a risky choice and it being a net negative choice.
Okay, excellent. This will be easy. Then prove
In
that
most
it's a
cases,
positive.
would you say in most cases, women who are stay-at-home moms end up in abusive situations?
I don't know if there's any data to support that. So I won't make that.
So though if it's a risk, in most cases, women don't end up in that situation. And they got the outcome that they intended to want when they went into that situation. We should conclude that's positive, right?
No, does not. But do you have any data that shows that they don't end up in abusive situations?
She made the claim, so she has to supply.
I did not make that.
You didn't know she didn't.
Or ask
She
the
said she
question.
doesn't.
I just asked the question.
You said most women don't. Like you said, most women don't end up in those abusive situations. So do you have the data for that? So,
Sorry?
I said, so how's everyone?
Oh, good. How are you?
I'm all right. Apple user, you're like on pause. We can't hear anything you're saying. Jeff,
Oh
you
yeah,
there?
because sorry,
Yeah.
All right.
I had to go to another tab to Google on my phone. I have the National Coalition.
Can't hear you when you're on pause. Can't hear you when you're off the app.
Sorry, National Coalition Against Domestic Violence says that 1 in 3 women are victims of domestic abuse within their lifetime, which necessarily by logic that percentage has to reduce when they're in a committed relationship.
Wait, why would that need to decrease? That doesn't make any sense. You just made that up.
No, because if someone within their entire lifetime across multiple relationships, if it's 1 in 3, that necessarily can't increase if we're looking at a singular relationship.
That doesn't make any sense, and you have nothing to back that like thought process.
That is
Like as a matter of fact, I'd say the more time you spend in a committed relationship, the more of a probability that that person would show you some sort of abuse.
It's actually worse than that because we're not talking about street violence. We are talking about domestic, as in the domicile, in the home violence. You're also looking at an average and then saying it can't increase. An average is not a maximum. It's an average. So it, in fact,
Yeah, and I'm
can
saying, yeah,
increase.
it's consistent. If we're looking at averages and then comparing it to another average, then we should still be doing averages.
You're not.
Yeah.
Why would I
comparing it
go to the
another
maximums?
No, but you're saying it can't increase, and by definition, an average can increase. You said on
Okay,
average.
how can the average increase? 1 out of 3 women experience domestic violence. What would the increase be?
On average, it's just the definition of an average. You're saying it can't increase. That would be a maximum. Something that can't decrease would be a minimum. Something that happens a lot would be a mode. These are 7th grade statistics terms.
Okay, I'm gonna.
And this isn't even like a good argument in any capacity, because if I asked you for the data that like domestic violence would not increase, which is exactly what you were supposed to be looking up, that domestic violence does not increase when you're in a committed relationship, you would not be able to provide.
That's not what I was supposed to look up. Sorry.
Yes, it was. That's the claim you made.
No, the claim I made was that the majority of people who are stay-at-home moms don't experience domestic violence.
Yeah. So what's the difference in what you said and what I said?
Because you said that there wasn't an increase when someone is. I'm not stating an increase or decrease whether you're in a committed relationship or out of one. I'm stating people who are in them don't. The majority of them aren't experiencing domestic violence.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you were supposed to be looking up, right?
Which, even if we go at the high end, one out of 3.
No, stop. That's what you were supposed to be looking up, right?
Yeah.
Right. So then I wasn't incorrect about what you were supposed to be looking up.
So 1 out of 3 women within their lifetimes experience domestic violence by a partner. Can we agree with that?
Yeah, that's the statistic. But you were supposed to show that stay-at-home moms in particular, but now I guess you've changed it to people in committed relationships do not experience domestic violence on a majority of the time.
Because you didn't agree with my syllogism, but I did not.
Because you made it based upon nothing. I'm not just going to try.
You also didn't make a syllogism.
A syllogism is a series of premises which lead to a conclusion, right?
Yeah, that's not what you did. You just made a non sequitur, baseless assertion on the misunderstanding of what an average is. Let me give you a demonstration. Is it possible that people experience domestic violence 1 out of 20 times when they've been together for a day, and 19 out of 20 times when they've been together for 20 years, and then you take all the numbers in between and it comes out to 1 out of 3? Is that mathematically possible?
I'm looking for the fact because.
Well, you don't have the facts. So since we're doing a priori and you want to do a syllogism, I'm playing your game. So is it possible for a person to receive some form of domestic violence 1 out of 20 times when they've been in the same domicile for a day, and then 19 out of 20 times when they've been in the same domicile for 20 years, and then some variation of that number in between that comes out to 1 out of 3 times? The answer is yes. So what your assignment is to show what the actual numbers are, because just saying 1 out of 3 in all cases tells me diddly.
To tie it back in, the reason you're looking for this, the reason he's looking for this to talk to everyone, is because like the second or third topic on the board is stay-at-home moms face a net negative under capitalism. His claim is that they don't, because he sees like spending time with your children as a positive, and that trumps all of the net negatives underneath capitalism that stay-at-mom homes tend to have. Kinsey named multiple examples of this. We're talking about domestic violence because Kinsey talked about it increases your chances of being abused, whether it be financially, emotionally, or physically. And so he said, do you have any like data to show that like stay-at-home moms face domestic violence at a higher rate? And Kinsey said, no, I don't think there's any evidence to show anything like that. And he went to look something up and talked about people in relationships, people in committed. Its in conclusion was people in committed relationships don't face as much domestic violence, which doesn't make any actual sense because his original claim was that stay-at-home moms don't face as much domestic violence, so it wouldn't be a net negative. Did I miss anything?
I'm going across the number 6, which says married, but it seems to be, I don't know if they even could collect statistics on specifically stay-at-home women in terms of like the domestic violence that they experience.
Right, which is the claim that I made, because it would be, at how long do you have to be a stay-at-home mom to be considered a stay-at-home mom?
Wouldn't it just be whether it would be an in time thing, whether you're currently in that moment staying at home and being a mom?
So I think like the fluctuation of employment would also be really important. The reason that I'm saying that stay-at-home moms are more susceptible to violence is not only because they typically experience more isolation because they don't have a job that they're going to every day, as well as making friends within that position to have confidants. They also do not have means to leave the relationship, such as financial means, or again, possibly a support system. So just due to isolation, as well as the means, I would say, yes, that definitely, the outcome you experience is definitely dependent on your partner. I mean, parenthood in general can be very isolating.
While not a formal one, that was a syllogism.
And under capitalism, especially within the United States, there essentially isn't any subsidization for stay-at-home moms, which means obviously you take on risk when you're only having a one-source income. We can also see that domestic violence increases synonymous with another statistic, which is essentially male employment. So when there's financial strifes, there can also be an increase in violence, anger, frustration.
Yeah, it seems that I made the standard of proof on specifically the stay-at-home mom thing too high for myself, so I can only find the 26 number unmarried women. But I still have an issue with your general argument that because risk exists, therefore it must be a net negative upon women if they are valuing other things.
I'm saying the risk is so high that it is a net negative.
how can you make what? From what point are you making that argument from? Why is it on you, or how are you able to say whether the risk was positive or negative?
The risk is very high. Like, do you think that a stay-at-home mom, because she gets divorced, should still be a stay-at-home mom?
No,
Why?
because an obligation of that does not follow. Because you were divorced, therefore you should continue the position you were in before the divorce. That there's no reason for.
What?
Because
I ask, if someone is a stay-at-home mom and they get divorced, should they be able to continue being a stay-at-home mom?
oh, should they be able? Yeah, if they were able to find someone who financially provided that.
Right. So this whole position requires dependency on a partner, correct?
Yes.
So that partner is essentially a high-risk investment, which is why I would say it would be a net negative. Because if your partner no longer wants to continue the relationship, then essentially you can suffer negative outcomes such as homelessness, poverty, abuse. You then have to get a job and now also have childcare responsibilities, which is typically why women have worse financial outcomes in divorce. Especially if you don't have the means to leave, then you have to stay in a relationship that you're unhappy with.
Do you believe in every situation for where there is a high risk, it must be a net negative scenario?
No.
Okay, for example, like if I would have sex with a person in a state where, or in a state or country where.
You just want me to change the wording to like stay-at-home moms face because essentially I don't think being a stay-at-home mom is worth the risk, is what I'm trying to say.
I don't see how
That could be a personal choice for your life, but to say that it is like factually a net negative.
No, it would be an assessment. Like if 80% of business owners like went broke within the first 2 years and then became unhoused on the street and unalived, I would say that business owners face a net negative. But like I don't see how you're providing any resources that it is a net positive.
I'm refusing the statement that it is a net negative.
Right, but you're not providing any net positive. Like the net negative has already been proved. Like the increase of the risk of domestic violence, the increase of the risk of abuse, like financially, and that also goes with domestic violence. The high risk investment, like you are not actually refuting any of these points. You're just saying, nah, I don't think so, and that doesn't really cut it. You have to show why it's a positive.
When you're examining whether something is a net negative or positive, you have to see the tape play to the end in order to make that conclusion. Because risks exist do not mandate that it is a net negative behavior. Entrepreneurship is not net negative because you have to see what the consequence of the entrepreneurship was.
Wait, we've already done this. We've already looked at the conclusion.
No, you've pointed risks.
The conclusion is that women. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm disagreeing that I'm saying you seem to bring up risks, not conclusions.
You can disagree all you want. You'd be incorrect because like the information has been presented to you. Like the information of increased domestic violence when men lose jobs and being financially dependent on a man causes things like being financially dependent on someone else in general causes things like domestic violence when they lose the job and causes things like financial abuse when they are financially dependent on another person is the net negative. Like that is a negative thing. Do you think abuse is a positive thing?
No, what it does is increases risk of abuse.
Excellent. Do you think abuse is a neutral thing?
No, I'm separating between risk.
Excellent. So do you think that like an increased risk of something that is negative is a good thing?
No.
Okay. So then it would be a negative. So like then this doesn't make any sense. Like your line of questioning here and your disregarding of the negative doesn't actually make any sense.
Yes, it
because you're
does.
not saying it's not a good thing. And like the increased risk of the bad thing is also a bad thing. So then you would think that it is a net bad thing, which would be the net negative.
An increased risk of a thing does not enter the calculation of the net result.
Yes, it does. It absolutely
If no,
does.
if
Because
I
when,
can I give an example?
go ahead, give an example.
If I'm betting with my friend and I say $5 that that woman trips, and he say, okay, let's say $5 if two women trip, the risk increases for me losing. If I win the bet and I make the $5, the net was still positive.
Here's the
Net does not
problem.
change depending
Here,
on the change in risk. The net changes depending on the outcome of the scenario, not the change in risk, the change in outcome.
here's your problem, default username. Sean and Kenzie are talking in aggregate statistics over an entire population, and you're using very anecdotal language, like if I win. No,
It was an
when
example.
Vegas,
That's what anecdote.
when
Sorry.
yeah, but no, it's literally an anecdote, because if when Vegas calculate odds, they don't change the odds based on me winning at blackjack. They just know that if X amount of people sit at this blackjack table over a span of X amount of time, they are going to win money. And maybe one person will win money, but most people will lose money. Hence, it will be a net negative. So when Kenzie and Sean are talking to you about the negatives, they're talking to you across the aggregate, and you seem to be focused on spotlighting one stay-at-home mom that maybe had some sort of perceived windfall from hugging her children over 20 years and looking at that and saying, W women, L men. That's not how statistics work.
I would agree with you, but first I did say, can I make an example? And then I made an example. That was supposed to be the general. And then number two.
The example was not comparable.
Number two was that you did state an aggregate. If blackjack players over an aggregate are losing, we say this is a net negative behavior because we know what the blackjack's behavior goal is and desired outcome. And we could say for blackjack behaviors overall, they're experiencing net negative results in association with what their desired outcome is. If a stay-at-home mom desired outcome isn't financial liberty, but instead the best lives for their children, then we cannot be comparing the net negatives of one financial outcome, assuming that they want a positive financial outcome at the end.
It's not one financial outcome, but on top of that, there's other risks. And when it comes to the financial outcome, like it dictates the life of the children. So you're incorrect on all three levels. Like if a woman comes out of a marriage and it was a stay-at-home mom and can no longer take care of her children, I believe Kinsey actually even talked about this, then the result of being a stay-at-home mom would be a net negative because she should have just had a job because the gap in her employment keeps her from getting other jobs to be able to take care of her children.
Hey, Jeff, are you going to get on him for using an anecdote, or was it only me, or how does that work?
You used an anecdote. Hold on, wait. You used an anecdotal thing in order to you used a non-comparable thing to talk about like the risk rather than talking about like the risks being something that like you personally, like you already had agreed that these things were a net negative. You already agreed that abuse is not a neutral thing. It is a negative thing. You already agreed that the risk of abuse is a negative thing and not a neutral thing. Like it's not a positive thing either. So the only thing it could be would be a negative. So you then went back and said, nah, it's not because of this example of a bet in which like me and my one friend made.
Also, I'm only gonna say this one time. Sean's pronouns are she, her.
Apologies. I was never told. Okay. She, her. Okay. So
Yeah, so I kind of put together a list because maybe I wasn't wording my net negative correctly. So depending on generation, stay-at-home moms typically can become so at a younger age, foregoing education. There is a forever loss in income, whether there's potential or current income. Depending at the age you were married, you have higher risk of divorce. So because you do forego education, get married at a young age and become a stay-at-home mom, the younger you get married, the more likely you are to get divorced. I would also argue it forces employment during and after divorce, so you can't maintain your stay-at-home mother status, so therefore it's unsustainable. You're subjected to possible homelessness, financial or physical abuse. I think even valid things to wonder, does this put an obligation for your partner to put money into a retirement fund for you? So are you losing out on essentially your retirement, and you'll have to work at later age? Will your husband invest in a job search? And then eventually, will your position as a stay-at-home parent be positioned against you? If they're angry about household inequality, it's your job to take care of the kids. If you think his parenting isn't aligned, well, it's your job to do it anyway, so I just won't. And then I would argue too, since we live in a patriarchal society, where men are indoctrinated from birth to weaponize systemic sexism against women, that'll eventually come to bite you in the ass, where your work is devalued. He's still entitled to your admiration and your praise, and they'll become less tolerable within the relationship, which again can lead to negative outcomes such as controlling, abusive behavior. And then also I would think too, fear of family courts. If you then go through a divorce and you show that you don't have access to a high earning income, you have been a stay-at-home mom for 10 years, therefore you don't have as many marketable skills within the workforce, you can lose your kids.
Okay. I'm going to ask, when you say women could be exposed to X increased negative thing, are you saying that they do, or are you just stating that the risk is there?
With some of them, yes.
Could you specify?
There will be loss of income.
Okay, I agree.
There will be loss of potential employment later in life.
Okay.
So those are the definite two. I would also argue it puts you at a higher risk if your husband's divorce becomes disabled or dies.
You're using could again, which is, are we saying they could think? Yeah. Are we saying could, or is it an average case?
These are risks associated, yes.
Okay, so those are like coulds, right? And
Right.
if I just want to please make an analogy, and hopefully it translates. I can abandon it if it doesn't. When I go outside, I experience an increased risk of being robbed. But that increased risk does not mean that going outside is a net negative, right?
So it's not the singular risk by itself. It is the collaboration of all risks. What is the net positives?
But to calculate whether it's a net risk or not, you have to calculate whether those risks lead to a net negative scenario. You have to calculate what the percentage of those risks are, and on average, what is the result?
What is the net positive?
The net positive is the increased results of their children.
Are those
or
results guaranteed?
No.
Then how can you say that's a net positive by your own standard?
I'm saying if they were to occur.
Right. You're using if as well.
So then for my, I have to pull up an average.
An average. Do you think that average is going to be reflective of essentially your class? I mean, if we're gonna just make this a math equation, I'm not really interested in that.
Okay, we don't have to make it a math equation. And we switch to another topic. Because I think if we both
Right.
that risk necessarily lead to the correct average, then it would just be a neutral battle where we can't prove whether it's net negative nor positive.
So you would say we would have to reduce this to a math equation to prove a net negative or a net positive.
That's generally how net equations work. To calculate nets, we do have to do math. Yeah.
Okay.
For anything. Okay. We could also talk about abortion if you'd like.
Sure.
We are social creatures. Other people will want to emulate my behavior because now I'm fostering a society in which people unalive people. And if I have that society, then eventually, potentially, I'll be unalived. And I don't want that. Presumably, you want to stay alive too, right?
For you. Exactly. For you.
No. I asked you a question. Presumably, you also want to stay alive, yes?
Yes.
Great. So now I've given you the same exact parity of reasoning that I have. Try doing something like that.
So your reasoning relied on me agreeing upon it. So if I just if we go to the abortion side and say
Yes, it did rely on you agreeing with it, because if you didn't agree and you said I don't want to stay alive, right? That I relied on that, because if you say I don't want to stay alive, I don't want to talk to you, because eventually if you don't want to stay alive, you won't be here to have the conversation. So I brilliantly deduced that you want to stay alive. It wasn't brilliantly, I'm being sarcastic. Most people do want to stay alive. If you didn't, we would have a different conversation and give you resources. But what I'm saying is that type of normativity is what you would have to do to convince me that loss of function is a standard. I lied. I was listening to what you were saying, but I wanted a demonstration that I wasn't, and then I had to do the lie thing. You understand.
okay. So if we were in a society when our obligations to others extended to the point of loss of function, therefore, if I promised my sister to pick her up from school, yet there was a burning building on my way, crashing it into the street, do you believe I would be obligated to go through the burning building to pick my sister up from school on time? Or do you believe that the loss of function for you would be an impeding force?
The latter. I like this game.
So would you say it's fair that for obligations, loss of function could be or is an exception for you?
I also think that if there are many cops on the road and there's a long traffic jam, I would have a reason to break that promise and tell my sister to take an Uber, and maybe I'll pay for it. But I've promised a fetus nothing.
Right. That was going to be my argument, is that within this obligation, it's not, you haven't agreed. There's no contract. Where with you picking up your sister, you have agreed to do so.
We're just saying the obligation exists. It's kind of irrelevant to how we arrive there. It's just an example, right?
Essentially, if we're going to talk about this obligation, I think eventually we're going to come down to parental responsibilities, which I would argue that parental responsibilities are essentially like contractual. They're a part of tort laws.
What Jeff said was that another exception to an obligation is if it is physically unreasonable or impossible to occur. So another example would be, again, if there are police in the road and you physically cannot keep your promise, you cannot keep it. Again, if the woman has a miscarriage, then it was physically impossible for her to keep her obligation. And then again,
There are foods that cause miscarriage.
No, I'm saying, yeah, if she did give a miscarriage, she did not fail her obligation. It was physically impossible.
No, what if she deliberately ate those foods?
Then that would be the example for Jeff caused the police chase. Then that would still fall on him failing to meet his responsibility. That would be analogous.
So how would you ever quantify that a miscarriage has come from essentially a natural termination of pregnancy and not an induced one?
How would I quantify it?
How would you ever qualify if a miscarriage has occurred from a natural termination of pregnancy rather than an induced one?
If we're going for legal or moral?
Neither.
For moral, it doesn't change. If you did it on purpose, then you were morally wrong. You failed your obligation. You did an immoral action. If you did it on purpose, then that was out of your control. You didn't know. For a legal case, we couldn't. That would be a gray area in the legislation where if someone had a miscarriage, you can't prove that they did it on purpose. They would be innocent until proven guilty.
You think in abortion should be illegal?
I'm pretty happy with the current states where we have it state by state decision. Because again,
Why?
my preference would be no abortion, or no abortion would lead to the fatality of the fetus.
Wait, why are you happy with state by state regulation?
Because I'm acknowledging that other people may have other moral systems, therefore I do not believe that mine must be supremacist.
Well, then why would you be for a state? Wouldn't that just be pro-choice then? And you would be against state interference? Because other people have different morals than the state?
If we're going from a legal perspective, do I believe that it is wrong, or do you believe that it should never be allowed that there are pro-choice areas? No. If we're going from like a moral perspective.
Should abortion laws be determined by the state?
Yes.
Why?
Because I acknowledge that other moral systems exist other than mine, which have different axioms.
So should slavery be determined by the state, slavery laws?
It's kind of similar to Jeff, where when we create legal systems, it is agreement amongst the social people. So if there's a different agreement amongst the social people for what morals are, they should follow a different legal code.
So I'm sorry, I'm just looking for a yes or a no. Should laws revolving slavery be determined by the state?
Yes.
Okay.
What? Are you, wait, is your PFP accurate? Like, am I looking at your face when I'm looking at your PFP?
Yeah.
And you think the states should determine whether or not there's slavery? You said that with your whole chest. How many people are in here? In front of 60 people. You said that out loud.
Okay, if we lived in let's say a weirdo world where there was...
No, I don't want to, if we live in a weirdo world. I'm talking about on Earth, the third planet from the sun, right now. You think that the states should decide whether or not people should work without pay, in a compulsory fashion, and be sold to other people like that and be held as property. That is your position. That's where you're bottoming out. This, I'm the reason I'm not just asking you because you're black and I'm black, right? This is not just black man to black man. I'm asking, I mean, that's one of the reasons. The other reason is I want to know if your need to control women is so strong that you're willing as a black man to say on the internet in front of a bunch of people that you're willing to risk the chance that your state enacts slavery and that you're back in bondage like our ancestors were just for you to control a woman's uterus. Is that what you're doing in front of all these people right now?
I'm not going to answer your loaded question. I'm going to answer your actual question, and I'm going to explain my position. My position is that all laws should be created through democratic means. So if democratic means we arrive to laws which allow slavery, and I don't believe it's not in my place to disagree with other people's moral axioms.
Wait. Do you recognize that in the United States, we have an overwhelming population of white people?
Yes, I recognize that.
Do you think that enacting that democracy, democratic is superior, that white people could pass laws regarding slavery because it benefits them?
I believe they could. Does that mean that I believe it is good? Are two different things.
Do you think that our change in our approach to slavery in the 1860s came through a peaceful democratic process? Is that what you think? Did everybody just go to the ballot box and say, I would prefer to not have slaves anymore, thank you, click, and then boof, We have the 13th Amendment, which, by the way, didn't abolish slavery, but let's just say it did. Do you think that happened because everybody just happily went and a 51% majority, like in Brexit, decided to not have slaves anymore? Is that what you think happened?
No, but we're exploring the extremes of my point. But the position of you guys is that if you have a moral opinion, it is unacceptable for the legal system to ever disagree with you.
No, that's not my position.
So you're okay
I'm
with,
asking,
are you ever okay
No,
with the legal system disagreeing or having a different policy in place than your moral position? Is that ever okay?
I don't think laws necessarily reflect morality.
Then what should they reflect?
And not 10 minutes ago, you said, I'm not talking legal, I'm talking moral. And now you're invoking legal for some weird reason, but that's okay.
I said I could talk both. But maybe.
Well,
Yeah, but the answer, like the answer to Jeff's question is yes. Like your need to control women's uteruses means that you're okay with being put in chains.
I've really never
Like,
made those
so-
statements ever. You guys are all putting
No,
that mouth.
that's
I'm not going to
100%.
engage with that. I'm not going to engage with that. I'm not going to engage with that. I'm not going to engage with that. Tell me when I did that. Tell me when I did that.
Stop talking. Stop talking. I was in the middle of talking. But you said these things because Jeff asked you this question. You said, I'm not going to engage with your quote unquote loaded question. What I'm going to engage with is your actual question. And then you said that your opinion was that if the state were to do these laws based upon democratic rule, it would not be up to you. Like you would have no reason to go up against these things, which means that if the state enacted slavery again, which is why Kinsey talked about the majority of people in the United States being white, then you would have no reason to go up against that slavery rule. So yes, absolutely. Your opinion is that you need to control women so much that you're okay with being enslaved. These are not misinterpretations of loaded questions, quote unquote. These are very direct questions that you just don't either have a real answer for, or you do have an answer for, and it's that you're okay with being enslaved in order to control women.
You stating I need to control women is an assumption on your part. I'm not going to engage with that. Never came from my mouth. But I am going to engage with the part where you did say
it's an entailment of what you just said.
But you are.
Do you know what an
wait.
entailment is?
Your entire
But I am
premise.
going to. Hello?
Your entire premise is based on the
You told me to
control
stop
of women.
interrupting you, but then you did to me. Okay. I will engage with the thing that you said with I would have no reason to disagree. It seems like you aren't understanding my exact position. My position is that the state is allowed to have laws that I do not morally agree with. Doesn't mean that when the law is in place, I do not morally agree with it. It's just allowed to occur.
Stop. That wasn't the question. The question was, the question is what should be, like what ought
No, she
to
did not
be.
ask. No, that's not what she asked me. That's
Yes,
not what she asked
it was. That was the entire
me. She did not
process.
ask me
of the
whether I
question.
believe slavery should occur.
She
That is not what
literally
she
said,
asked.
should the state, hold on, she literally said, should the state be able to dictate whether or not someone is enslaved? She
That
said
is
should. She literally talked about what ought to be. And you said yes.
Let's also not
Do you
play with
believe that
each
is the,
other.
do you believe the statement of
Hold on.
state is allowed to-
Hold on.
Why
Let's
am I
not play
getting
with
turned
each
on,
other.
bro?
You're getting interrupted because I feel like it. This is the thing. We're playing with each other right now. You're saying this now. Your statement is that the state is allowed to make laws that disagree with my moral framework. The state that just falls out for free. The state is allowed to do whatever the state wants up until the people rebel against the state. Like in a moment in time, the state could decide tomorrow to enact slavery. They could do that. I'm not allowing them to do that. That's something the state has decided to do by whatever means it decided to do. So that's not what we're talking about. You're going to find no disagreement from anybody that the state can do a thing, right?
Do you think when I was saying allowed, I was saying that whether they were physically capable of? Is that what you think I was saying when I use the word allowed? Are you being
When
that
you say
dishonest?
no. Make me honest. When you say allowed, what do you mean? Do you mean that you would agree with it? Because that's not what you mean, right?
I would say that is a permissible action within my moral framework.
A permissible action. So that means that you would agree with it.
This is exactly don't like
This
it.
is why we're playing with each
It's
other.
like you literally told me that I was incorrect in saying these exact things about you. And then when we ask you what is different about what we're saying about you and what you're saying about you, you say exactly what it is that we're saying about you.
No. Oh my. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna explain the difference. When you say, should the government decide whether slavery exists, or what should the state? That was the question, right?
Yes.
And then I answered, which is my most clear and specific answer, which is the one I truly believe, that laws should be decided based on social agreement. And therefore, if social agreement exists, that can exist in the state. So, whether it should state agree, it could be the people agree, which are represented by the state.
So yes, your need to control women is so deep that you
Bro,
would.
you're just being dishonest, bro. I can't do this shit.
You're
It's literally
100.
agree
I'm
if you want. I
literally.
can't
Hold
do
on.
this shit.
Hold
Just
on.
being
No,
dishonest.
stop.
Fuck you.
Stop.
Fuck you. I don't care.
Stop.
Fuck you.
Stop. Because we've asked you
Fuck you.
so many times to say what is different, and then you run away. Of course you do. Like we asked him so many times to say what was different and what we were saying about him and what he was saying about himself. Did we not give him ample chances to clarify?
The reason he got um,
Wild.
the reason that he got frustrated is because he cannot accept what the direct entailment of his view is. Because we're not talking about, can the Gestapo come in and enact slavery rule on 30% of the population because they feel like it? Yes, of course they can. They have the ability to. We're talking about whether they should. And then he says, no, I'm saying that they're allowed to, but under my moral framework, which is also a should. And so he just can't accept that because, again, Sean, you're right. It's just, I really, really want to tie women's rights to my preference, and therefore I'm okay with, something that, and somebody in the chat said it, it's the 7th day of Black History Month, and you're going to say I'm okay with slavery. Wild.
Insane.
I honestly didn't think I would get a yes on that. But thank you. I just want to do thank you, Mitch, for the Cash App. W Mitch in the chat. And yes, since we are on CoinCot and it is Black History Month, please support our BICROC creators. Both Sean and Jeff do have their Cash App or Venmo info listed. I'm sure they have the same philosophy as me that even $1 is appreciated.
I'm going to also add W Sherlina to the mix. So W Sherlina.
W Sherlina.
Just so you all know,
I didn't hear what you said, Sean. What?
Mitch is Liv, by the way.
Oh, Mitch is Liv. Thank you, Liv. W Liv.
I don't think this person here. Dream Type here. If you're here, put your guest request back in. You've been trying to load in for a good minute.
Oh, yeah. And also, let's do L Gru in the chat because I blocked Gru. Because I'm sick of them sitting in here trying to gaslight the chat and enjoying the fruits of my labor. So, bye, Gru.
L Group.
I know Cole's been in here a while. I know he isn't here, and it's a happy day. I'm sure Gru's gonna go make another account, which is fine.
Cole, if Here, try and re-request. It's
Yeah, he's been in there a while, and Summer's a subscriber. But that's on the divorce one. Yes, women have worse financial. I think I could also make the claim that negative, if we're just going to do like a positive and negative list, that the negative is longer. I don't know why I didn't make that argument.
I mean, that's that's what I was.
That's what Sean was saying. Should we change it to green to match the background? Let's see what happens. Ooh,
Oh wow,
not green.
it looks like opportunity in there. Smells like success.
This is my son's favorite. Well, he likes blue as well. Yeah, I like that.
I like purple. I like the purple.
Me too. I don't know if it's a good contrast or it just, makes my skin glow.
It makes you look. Well, it doesn't make you look like. It makes it look like the Incredible Hulk to me.
Oh, the combo with the green and purple?
Yeah, the green and purple.
Love that. We should change this to black and then make it like Batgirl vibes. What are we at? 133. Let's see if we can get to 150, and that'll get us some more debates. Carrie, thank you for subbing.
With thoughts, feelings, and actions. I heard the question perfectly fine.
Yeah, but you're
because
not
people feel like that is what they
understanding
deserve.
the question. I
And
didn't
like they
say,
shouldn't
wait,
have to
time
settle.
out. Because you're not answering the question even right now. Like the question is, why does someone else need to commit to me to recognize that I am a person?
Because it shows that they recognize that. That's like a visible sign that I just don't get it, because a lot of the times, men and women, we're different, when during sexual intercourse, different chemicals are released.
Let's not do this. Because
But it's
I
factual.
guarantee it's not. It's very not. And I guarantee it's going to
It's
go
not
into a
factual?
realm that you're not ready
All right,
for.
then tell me the
No,
chemical
it's
that's
not.
released.
It's
What's the
absolutely
chemical
not.
released during sex for women? Because there's specific ones. They're
my
different.
God. Oh my God.
One forms a connection, and one forms that. Why do you think people have post-nut
No,
clarity? Why do you
that's
think that's a
that's
thing?
not a thing. That's not.
You just say
It's not a
post
thing?
nut clarity.
Post-nut clarity is
That's what
actually
people
not a
call
thing.
it.
No, it's very not. It's
There's
not.
actually
It's something that men
scientific.
made up.
There's
It's
actually
something that men. No, there's no
it's
scientific
not.
evidence to back this.
There's
Stop talking.
Google
Stop
it.
talking.
Google it right now.
Stop. I have
Oh, someone
Googled
just
it.
said
I've
it.
done more research on
Someone
this
said
than
it.
you.
Oxytocin.
I've done more research on this than you. Like, stop. Just stop. Like, literally, the
oxytocin.
chemicals, the neurochemicals that are released during sex, literally
It's called
everyone has. Well,
oxytocin.
not literally everyone. There are
What's the other
people
one?
who don't have certain things. Can you shut up? Can you stop? Because you don't
I
understand the
asked you a
question. You're
question.
not answering the
No.
question.
No, you
You're
get to
not
ask me a
answering the
question. I
question.
answered
You
your question.
didn't
I answered
answer
your
the
question.
original question,
I did.
Shawty.
I did,
No,
and I
you
restated the
didn't.
question.
You didn't even
No, you
understand.
didn't. You
I
didn't
said,
answer.
listen, I said you didn't understand the question. Never said you didn't hear the question. So you don't even understand the words that I'm saying. So I know for a fact you didn't understand the question.
I understood the question perfectly well.
No,
Please do
you
not
didn't.
try and don't tell me what I do and don't understand. I think that's incredibly
There's
disrespectful.
no
I understood the
actual
question
research.
perfectly
There's
fine.
no actual research on post nut clarity.
Like,
We do know
Exactly.
that orgasms activate dozens of regions in the brain and is so complex that we still don't understand much of it, but there is no actual research on post nut clarity.
Yeah, I just
I
have
don't
to
think
say
you're
this.
finding the right
I don't
sources
think.
because, if I left alive, I could find you several sources.
All right, bring him up. Bring him up.
All right, I'll be right back. But like,
let's just bring them up. This is not. I'm telling you though. I'm giving you an out. You don't want to go this route with us. I promise.
no, because I've
you.
learned about the
Stanford,
scientific.
Stanford 2022 post-nut clarity study. Let's see it.
I'm telling
Okay,
you.
are you just gonna
I'm
trust
I'm so telling
one
you.
source?
Girl, give me what you
Like,
got.
you guys can call me a child, whatnot. You can say I'm stupid. You can say
No,
whatever.
I
But
haven't.
I believe what I believe, and that is
Hold up,
because
wait,
that is my
stop.
choice.
Don't pay attention to the comments because I was just about to tell the comments. Within the comments, I understand that she's young. I'm just trying to get her to listen to what we're saying so she understands it because she doesn't.
Sorry,
No, don't tell no,
Bring
because
up the
I
sources.
made my choice. For you to say that like purity culture is bad and that it upholds something that's not like the patriarchy, like something that's like flawed, like I'm a part of that culture, and that none of these things that you're saying about this
You're a
purity
part of the
culture are.
patriarchy, love.
I'm not.
Don't know
I'm
what else to
not
tell you.
because
You
it's my
100%
choice.
are.
Because it gives
You
me
literally
liberation.
just said that people are saving themselves because they feel like they regret sleeping with someone because they rushed into it because the
You
sex
can't.
with
You
your
can't
husband
save
is being a
yourself if you've
soulmate. Hold on,
already
time out.
done it.
Time
Like
out.
what?
Stop. I'm explaining to you how it's a patriarchal statement. People are upset that they had sex with someone because they feel like they rushed into it because they simply did not have the sex that other people told them would be the best sex. And that sex that the other people told them would be the best sex to have is a patriarchal structure on sex. Sex with your husband is the best sex you'll ever have. If you don't wait for your husband, you're going to regret having sex with someone who's not your husband. This is a patriarchal structure that you yourself have upheld. You even
So
said.
actually, it's about
Hold on,
spouse, not just husband.
Stop. You
Don't
even
tell
said.
me what my.
Hold on. Time out.
No.
Stop. I'm almost done. I promise you. You even said that like with whatever group of people that taught you purity culture within your Catholic school, your teachers, or whoever it may have been, like you even said that they instilled within you and other people who were around you that if they have a lot of sex, then they are just an object. They are objectifying themselves. They are no longer a person. They no longer have personhood simply because they had sex. That is a patriarchal view of sex. And seeing as how you went to a Catholic school, I'm pretty sure it was an all-girls Catholic school, and I'm pretty sure
Nope.
they told all the girls this.
Nope, actually, okay, yeah, so time to respond to that. First of all, no, not an all-girls Catholic school, co-ed. They taught both
fine.
girls and boys the exact same thing. So they didn't teach that women need to be a certain way and that men need to be a certain way. They taught it to us equally. So the boys were taught to be celibate, the girls were taught to be celibate.
Okay, cool. I was wrong about the all girls, but that wasn't the entire point. That wasn't the point of talking about
Okay, but
this.
like
The
I was
point
continuing on and you kind of ignored that next part that I said. We were taught the
You didn't
same way.
say-
We were not taught that women
that wasn't
need to
the
have.
point. I just said that wasn't
My
the point.
My point was this. You're saying, oh, it's all internalized misogyny. No, it's not. Like, because
It is.
how is it internalized misogyny if the girls and the guys were taught the same way in this classroom that, you know, we view that as something sacred for within marriage.
Wait, are girls supposed to dress modestly?
Both men and women are supposed to dress modestly. I don't know why. I think you're getting. I think you're having internalized misogyny because you're implying that it's only for women.
Why are girls to dress modestly?
I think the correct question you should be asking is why are men and women? Because that is exactly what it teaches. Both men and women.
Time out.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second. But I think even just simple questioning, where you're going to see that women have a very different standard of modest than men do.
That's been a thing throughout history, but you know, in our culture, it's supposed to be the same. Like,
so when men go to the beach, are they to cover their chest?
I mean, some yes, some no.
I'm asking you, is that the standard of modesty?
Some cultures do ask that the men cover themselves just as the women do.
Your culture.
Don't. I'm asking you under this purity culture. I'm asking you under purity culture, in terms of what is modest, when men and women go to the beach, are men required to cover their chest?
I mean, in common culture, no, but we were actually taught both should. So
in your Catholic school, boys are told that they should wear shorts and
Yep.
then
A swim
what?
shirt. Yep.
A swim shirt.
Yep. Yes, exactly.
Why is that?
Because you don't need to be, having bare skin like around, like there's no like reason for it. Like there's no
What's wrong with your body?
there's nothing wrong with it. It's just like you don't need to be showing it off to everyone. Like that's just what we believe. Like it's called having a sense of confidence in oneself, that you don't have the need to show off your body to everyone else, that
Wait. Why is me wearing a bathing suit showing off my body?
I'm saying that people choose to dress modestly because they don't feel the need to wear revealing clothes. They don't feel like there's a need. They don't need it to be confident.
That is circular.
Like, are you, there's so many cultures where women dress modestly and,
Right. The reason that women... One second. I'm going to give you the answer because clearly you don't know. The reason that women are told to dress modestly is because their body is sexualized. And if women are to expose their body, they're inherently seen as being sexually tempting to men. And therefore, if you are sexually tempting men, that is something you're doing wrong. Because
I don't know why we're turning this onto just women, because we were taught about both genders equally.
No, are men's breasts sexualized?
In today's culture, no.
Are women?
But that's yes, because it is.
So women's bodies
it's a reproductive part. That's why it is. Because it's a reproductive body part.
It's to feed your baby.
Yep, I don't have an explanation for it.
Wait. Are women's butts sexualized?
Yep.
It's not a reproductive part, so why would it be sexualized?
So are men's. Men's butts are sexualized too.
But it's not a reproductive part, so why would it be sexualized?
I don't know. But both men and women's butts are sexualized.
Okay, so with this thought process, right, and it not just being a reproductive part that is sexualized, I think you should listen to Kinsey's entire point, because I think Kinsey's going to hit it on the head for you here.
But I've done research on this, and that's why I literally searched up why are female breasts sexualized, and it was literally because it is a sexual reproductive part.
Peppa,
No, if we're going to look at it from an evolutionary standpoint, it's because essentially like cleavage looks like the buttocks. Like if we're going to look at it from that. But overall, I would say it's more culturally influential, because women under the patriarchy have exclusively been seen as just what our bodies do for men. And that is sex. So that is actually objectifying in terms of modesty. Modesty has turned our body into something overly sexualized, which is why you need to cover it up so that you don't tempt men, so that men don't have sexual thoughts. When really, our breasts are not, they don't need to be sexualized. Us showing our shoulders is not a sex.
Like they are, and men are not going to stop sexualizing them.
They only are because men have objectified and over-sexualized women's body, which is why
we both agree on that. Like it's not going to just change.
There is modesty culture. You are making now a contradiction in your own statements. You are saying, yes, you are. You are saying that if someone does not commit to you and you have sex with them, they are objectifying you. However, your own standard of modesty is because you have objectified the body.
Nope, that's not why you dress modestly. It's because you know that the world is going to try to objectify you, and so you don't dress immodestly for,
for those people to do that. It's almost like a form of protection. Because the facts remain. Men will continue to sexualize women. Can you please let me finish? Men will continue to sexualize women until the end of time, because that has happened no matter what women wear. You could be wearing fully clothed. Men will find a way to sexualize you.
Why have modesty? If men are going to do it no matter what you wear, then why be modest?
Because some people just choose to do that because they feel like that's right for them. And, you know, when you're stuck, like when everything's hanging out, like some people don't want that. Some people don't want their body hanging out. Some people want to cover it up and say like, hey, look up here. My eyes are up here. Don't look down there. Like, you know, I'm more than just my body. That's what that's saying. That's sending the message that I am more than just my body. Speak to me as a human being who deserves respect, attention, because my personality is more interesting than my body.
Why does covering up your body need to be an action in order for you to be seen as a human?
I don't know. You should ask men throughout history because.
There you go. You yourself are objectifying the body.
Peppa.
I'm not objectifying the body, but I know that men will do it to me.
Can you hear me?
No.
Yeah,
Men will do it. Men will do it to you on their own.
Peppa, do you know what an amygdala response is?
Pardon?
Do you know what an amygdala response is?
No, I do not.
Okay. Right now, you're speaking about a mile a minute. You've spoken over Kenzie. You've spoken over Sean several times. That's an amygdala response. There's a deeply held belief that you have. That's okay that you have it. It's perfectly fine. But when it's challenged, your body goes, oh my God, my deeply held belief is being challenged, and you start to speak faster and do all the stuff that you're doing. I'm going to tell you what some people want to do with their bodies. I couldn't care less. Like, they're allowed to do whatever they want. If they want to dress head to toe and cover their entire bodies in dark sheets, as long as they're not white sheets, I'm perfectly okay with it. What you're here to do is tell us why we should want to do the same thing. So, like, if you want to dress modestly, go for it. Have at it. What you have not demonstrated is why any of us should want to do the same thing. And so what I would recommend you do is, if you have something that we can search for, right? Like some source that says we ought dress a certain way, or we ought engage in sexual activity a certain way, tell us and we'll look it up, and this will be a much more productive conversation, and it will not just be speaking a mile a minute and trying to get your point across that nobody can hear while you're speaking over the host and the co-host.
Well, actually, I don't want to burst the bubble there, because it was great. Thank you, Jeff. But I would say, like, I make the argument that her position here is to show us how purity culture is not rooted in misogyny, is not rooted in patriarchal structures. That's the point. What she does with her body, it's whatever. But, like, you have not given any data or any factual evidence to show that it is separated from patriarchal structures.
I mean, the way that we were taught, it was taught the same way to both men and women. So that was my first point. It was taught the same way. We were both taught the same way. So men were not treated like they were supposed to have less rules or restrictions, and women were not taught to have more. So that was my first thing. We were taught the same way. So yes, it does.
Matter. No, it doesn't.
Can you let me finish?
No, hold on. Let me tell you why that doesn't matter.
You're talking about me talking a mile a minute, but you keep on cutting me off.
Yeah, but I'm not talking a mile a minute.
We don't want you to make 9 points at once and then have to go back and address 9. So you made your first point. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah. I'm about 7 decades
and I got
older.
cut off as I was making my first point.
That's great. Kenzie has made it clear that I'm about 7 decades older than her, but I believe that. Oh yeah, good.
Peppa, finish your statement. So,
sorry.
From my understanding, your point was that boys and girls were taught the same. Is there more you want to add?
Yeah. We were taught the same,
You're
and
not at
there was
another
nothing.
point.
No, I'm literally continuing on the same point. We were taught
Okay,
the
so
same,
what?
and there was nothing patriarchal about it. We were taught the same way. The same
Okay,
way.
so you're just
So how is that patriarchal?
okay. Jeff, go ahead.
The reason why I interrupted her is because she's not making a point as to why it's not patriarchal. And I'm telling her that doesn't matter. We're stuck in this thing where, like, if I say, what day is it? She says Thursday, but I mean, is it the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th? And I'm just like, no. What day is it? And she's like, it's the day after Friday. It's the day after Tuesday, or whatever it is. And I'm like, hold on, no, that doesn't matter. I want to know the number day. Like, what I'm asking you is, why is it not patriarchal? And what you're telling me is because men and women were taught the same way, and that doesn't matter. Like, your point here doesn't matter for this, because men and women are taught the same things about specific things, but for completely different reasons all the time.
For example, although me and Kenzie are like
Okay,
7
to
years
respond.
apart,
Go ahead, Jeff.
yeah, like although me and Kenzie are 70 years apart, that joke hasn't landed 4 times now. That's upsetting, and I'm having drunken noodles, which are delicious. So we were both taught American history in a way that is very racist. Both of us. Like, we probably went to school on 2 opposite ends of the country, but we were taught the same thing, right? The history that we were taught was still racist. So the fact that we were taught the same thing in the same way, right? Kenzie is a white woman. I'm a black man. It doesn't change the fact that the history that we were taught was racist. So you and, let's say, Skip in your class were taught the exact same thing. That still could be something that you were taught exactly the same that is patriarchal. So second point, please.
I don't understand how it can be patriarchal when we are both taught just to dress modestly and to save yourself or your spouse. I don't understand how that's
explain why.
patriarchal.
I'll explain why, and it'll be real super
Can you
quick.
try and do
Because
it
boys,
without making it all about women?
I'm about to make it make sense. So boys were taught to dress modestly in order to stop their temptations from wanting women. Women were taught to dress modestly in order to not be an object of sex. That is still a
I don't
patriarchal.
think that
No, I'm not asking you. I'm
I
not
don't
asking you. Like
I don't think I don't think that a
promise you-
man covering up is going to stop any of his sexual desires, and so that's not
I'm
why
not
it was
saying
taught.
that will. Hold on, wait, time out. My argument isn't
That's
that
what
it
you
will.
just
The
said.
church doesn't like that. Wait, time out. No, I said that they were taught this for this reason. I didn't say that this works. I'm telling you what the church thinks. Like, this is what the church thinks. The church thinks that when
Are you a
men
member of the
dress more
church?
modestly, what? The
Are
church.
you a member of the church?
The Catholic Church?
No, I'm not a member of the Catholic Church. I've done every
Yeah.
religion in my life. And I
Okay.
promise you, I've done every religion better than anyone in those religions. But the church thinks that when men dress modestly, then they are like taken away from temptation, because there's more stuff that men have to do to get their clothes off. So, like, when it comes to the women, though, women are supposed to dress modestly so that they don't get looked at as sex objects. They are taught the same thing for a very different reason. Like, women are not told that if your eyes force you to sin, then gouge your eyes out. They're talking about lust. They're talking to men in that verse. Women are told to dress modestly to keep men from sinning with their eyes. Men are told to dress modestly in order to stop themselves from doing the sin and creating a sex object. It's still patriarchal. Like, I don't want to get too deep
I
into
just
Bible
don't.
here.
Go ahead, Peppa.
I think that purity culture was designed to help people, prevent themselves from, letting other people objectify them, because it's going to happen regardless. Like, we see it all the time.
Are men told to dress
It's sad,
modestly
and it's
because
like
they get objectified?
really frustrating. So when people are
Time out.
saying like, "Oh, purital culture is like bad,"
Time
and
out.
it's such a
Hold
horrible
on.
thing, a lot of
You
people,
haven't
it
really.
gives them like liberation, and makes them feel like free.
Pepper.
Wait, 1 second, Sean. 1 second. It also gives a lot of people religious trauma and feelings of shame and guilt when it comes to their body. That essentially sex outside of marriage is a dirty, negative experience.
Yeah, and I don't
Yet
think
for
that it was taught correctly if that's
One
how they're
second.
feeling.
So how does someone how do you determine if someone is a virgin? I don't know. She's at the bar. Pepper, are you there?
Hello?
Are you
Sorry,
there?
that entire time you just completely glitched out. Yeah, I can hear now.
What is a virgin?
A person who has never had sex.
I think it's her Wi-Fi. I don't know if she's at McDonald's or not.
Huh?
What is a virgin?
I said it was a person who has never had sex.
What is sex?
It is we, in the sense, I'm talking about penetrative sex.
Okay. So is a woman who only has sex with women, is she a virgin then?
No. But in the sense that I was kind of like referring to, penetrative sex just has like the standard, like the one that is mainly discussed in purity culture, but all kinds of sex. People have different kinds of sex. So,
Right, so
just there's
I
many
think the most
definitions to it.
I think the most common question that a lot of people have is like, am I still a virgin? If someone has, which is why like a lot of, especially within the Mormon church, they'll engage in anal sex because if it's not vaginal, then it doesn't meet the qualification of actually being like penetrative sex that is frowned upon.
Sorry, what did you say?
Also, so is there a way to tell if a woman has had penetrative sex?
No, there's not. I don't believe in that.
So virginity really isn't like a scientific term or anything. It's just a social construction.
It's not. In this, yes, it is. But one person knows, what they've done. They know their experiences. And so, anyone could easily lie about, their virginity, their, sexual experiences. But,
Right. So do you think there's like loopholes to these things?
No, I don't think there's loopholes.
So you don't think that like someone engaging in anal sex would be a loophole?
I don't think that's a loophole. I think it's all the same. I think that's sex.
What about oral sex?
Yep.
Well, oral sex isn't penetrative, so now...
I was just saying that as, the basis, but, in what we were taught is that sex is sex. So however you want to define sex is, just that.
What?
So
Define sex.
What do you mean? What? Just
Sex is going. So
Sex
because
is
you said
sex,
sex is sex, that doesn't mean anything. If
yeah,
I define
it
sex,
does.
Okay, cool,
So
cool.
I
If I
think
define
what you're
sex, hold on,
going to
time out,
try
time
and
out.
do.
Pause. Just pause. Just
No,
pause.
please don't tell me to
If I
pause because I
define
was going to finish
sex,
my statement.
if I
Because I
define
think what you guys are
sex,
going to try and do
you
is
pause.
you're going to
No,
try and
stop.
trap
Stop
me
trying to
and
guess.
say
Stop. I'm
no, no, no,
not
no,
trying
no,
to
no.
trap you. Stop saying that. Just pause. God damn. If I define sex as going bungee jumping, and I've never been bungee jumping, I'm a virgin. That's what you're saying?
No, that is not what I'm saying.
No. Okay, so
As I
then
was trying to,
define
okay, can you let
sex.
me finish? You just
Wait,
asked me a question
define
and
sex.
I'm answering it. I'm answering your question. Please let me finish
Define
with my
sex. Just
explanation.
define it.
No. Let me then don't interrupt me because if you're going to interrupt me, I'm going to interrupt you and this is going to get nowhere.
You've been interrupting me this entire time. This is not new. Like, just define sex.
Not Sean inviting her to unmute.
I'm finished with my noodles.
I was
Peppa,
going to say that.
saying sex is a tautology. It tells me nothing. It's like saying hoobajoob is hoobajoob. If you don't tie it to something, that is why Sean is asking you to define it so that we know what we're
Yeah,
talking about.
I know.
Also,
I know.
no matter what Sky Daddy tells you, you are not psychic. So stop saying UIs are going to try to trap me. You do not know what we are trying to do. You do not have access to brain states. That is rude.
Wow, thank you for that. Also, yeah, it's not Sky Daddy. It's just I can already see where it was going from the tone, as the host also said something so about
Just define
a
sex,
woman having sex with
please.
another woman is that sex. So I could already see where that was going.
Wait, where was it going?
It was going to go to the point where, oh, do you not view LGBT sex as sex? Yes, it is all sex. It is all relative.
Well, your
Like, do you want me to
initial
list every single sexual act? Because I don't need to do that. You can do that on your own. You obviously know that bungee jumping isn't sex. So
your initial definition of intercourse did not include sex. So yes, I would say that is excluding gay women.
all right, well, whatever it says on Google for
But
sex,
me
that
talking
is my
about bungee
definition.
jumping. Whatever Google says, you said?
Yes, for the definition of sex.
Okay. What does Google say?
Yeah, please
I
don't bite
don't
on
have
it.
it pulled up, so can someone pull that up because I can't pull it up.
Peppa, I'm doing you a favor. If you plant your flag there, then you will be trapping yourself.
No, because the Google
How's that?
definition shouldn't say anything about, heterosexual sex. It's sex.
Well, so this is the thing, is that when we are essentially evaluating experience, there are different tones and hues when it comes to sexual experience. And I think to say that to make it black and white, either you're a virgin or you're not, puts a lot of pressure, especially on girls, in terms of their behavior, as if virginity is something that they need to maintain and what makes them special. And then when that's gone, something about them has forever changed.
That's not really what we were taught. We were taught more of it's, you're essentially saving yourself because you know that you don't have to give into sexual temptation. You're stronger than that. You have control over that. And that's what we're taught essentially. Why would you want to have sex with someone if you don't have that connection? It's almost like it's giving you a sense of you have that inner strength that I don't even know how to explain it because
Let me give you an analogy, right? Let's say this, because I think you're stuck on I think you're kind of stuck on literacy, being literal. If I told you two things, right? If I told you that my favorite color is indigo, that's actually true. My favorite color is actually indigo, right? And then later on, I told you that you remind me of my favorite color. What am I telling you?
That you what? Like that I remind you of your favorite color? What?
Yeah, if I told you, like, if we were having a conversation and we were just laughing and joking and kikiing, and I said, you remind me of my favorite color, what would that tell you? What would you read from me saying that?
That I remind you of your favorite color. Like simple.
Sure, but what does that actually mean? You're just repeating what I said.
It doesn't really mean anything additional to me. That just means that I remind you of your favorite color. That's it.
What's my favorite color?
Indigo.
Okay, so what would me telling you that you remind me of my favorite color mean?
It means that I remind you of your favorite color, indigo. Like I
Bruh.
don't really. That's all I see. Like there's nothing really deeper than
Bruh.
that.
It wouldn't be me telling you that you remind me of indigo?
I mean, your point doesn't really make sense. So do you mind explaining it?
My point is that you don't have to say that women are sex objects in order to teach women that they would be sex objects if they have sex. Like your pastor doesn't have to stand up there and say, if you have sex a lot, you'll be a sex object and you're not a human being. Like he doesn't have to say that. You just have to tell people things that lead them to those conclusions because those are the logical conclusions. Like if I told you you remind me of my favorite color, you would immediately think that I remind you of indigo. But I never said you remind me of indigo. I said you remind me of my favorite color.
And you said your favorite color is indigo. So those two go together. So like it's
Exactly.
literally the same thing.
Exactly.
But like you basically just told me. Like I don't know what you're meaning. Like, oh, gotcha. Like you basically just said like I remind you of your favorite color.
Gotcha moment. Like, dude, stop trying to do this whole. I don't know what spaces you go into, but these are not gotcha moments. Like these are not aha moments. Like stop trying to say that, please. It's annoying.
I'm sorry,
Like-
but your analogy just didn't make any sense. Like I'm
No,
sorry,
it didn't
that
make
was a
any
horrible
sense to
analogy.
you. It made sense.
If you state your favorite color and then you say that I remind you of your favorite color, like I'm not insinuating, I'm not like inferring, like I'm literally, you told me and I know what your favorite color is. So like that's not.
Sean, can I ask her a question? Because I'm gonna wrap up the. Papa, do you think you can love someone without marrying them?
Yeah, I do.
Do you think it's okay to engage in intercourse if you're in love?
No, I don't.
Why?
Because I think that there's an importance to commitment and that sense of responsibility that if that person is willing to, show that they want you and only you, and they're willing to make that sacrament to you, that means a lot. That's why so many women want to get married, and they view it as more than just a piece of paper, like, because it just shows that they're taking that extra step to show how much they appreciate you and they love you, and it's a tangible sign of that love. That is what marriage is. It is a tangible sacrament. It is a sign of love, and that is what a lot of people seek.
It's sure. I think it's so you can be committed without getting married. I would just argue that marriage is essentially claiming that you're going to love someone forever, which honestly is kind of a silly claim. But
It's not.
like it absolutely is. I know you're young, but people change so much, and the younger that you get married, the more likely you are to get divorced.
Sorry, can you repeat that? It literally just cut out.
The younger you get married, the more likely you are to get divorced. And it's because when people go through the life arc in their 20s and even early 30s, they change all so much and realize they don't have maybe certain things in common. So this is the issue that I have, is that it is such an extreme position to say that someone needs to commit to me for life to have sex. Like, that is so extreme. And to say that outside of that lifelong commitment, that you can't be in love and be committed together and have meaningful and fulfilling sex is a very harmful aspect of purity culture.
Well, we're kind of taught that the, main primary purpose of sex is for reproduction, because that is, essentially the outcome of that. And so that's another part of marriage, showing that tangible sign of love and, that commitment to, bringing more love into the world. Like that's, like, I don't see how that can be harmful.
Well, that taken in itself is dehumanizing.
How is that dehumanizing?
I'm explaining it to you. If we look at the reasons that humans have sex, it's for aspects of socialization, which is for emotional intimacy, connection, psychological well-being, and then also elements essentially regarding psychological well-being, whether that is pleasure, and then just a biological outcome is procreation. So
my one thing to that though, can I say something?
Well, 1 second, let me finish.
There's so many other ways you can achieve pleasure. There's so many other ways you can achieve mental.
It's the combination. Let me finish my point. Animals have sex for procreation, but for humans, there is the additional level, which is psychological well-being as well as socialization. And for you to remove those and just say it's for procreation is dehumanizing. You're taking the human aspect experience out of it. Yes, primates as well as dolphins. Very good.
Sorry, my microphone was muted, but you can get pleasure from so many different things. You can get, I forget the other things you said, but you can only have children from sex, like penetrative sex. Like,
it's not
that's
true.
the only way
you can have IVF.
Pardon?
You can have
okay,
IVF.
Well, you get my point. But
just because that doesn't substantiate your argument. That just because sex has the function for biological procreation means that it is the purpose.
But that's a big reason why people wait until marriage, because that is an outcome of sex.
No.
Do you want to raise a kid by yourself?
Not many people wait till marriage anymore. About 5% of people are virgins when they get married.
Okay. And it's just like, why are people acting like that's a bad thing?
Essentially because of a lot of the tenets that you're promoting, that outside of marriage, sex is a bad thing, that essentially people should suppress their natural sexual urges.
Yeah. If you're able to control that can just give you so much more freedom, and you feel like such a sense of control over your life. Like, you don't have to,
You're not free. You are not free, because anytime, even how men and women socialize, or young adults socialize together, a lot of women don't want to give men hugs. They'll do side hugs because that can be seen as a sexual act. Women can become very self-conscious around other men if they wear makeup or their wrist becomes exposed, because that can be a sexual act. You're not free. You're constantly policing yourself, making sure that you are being modest, making sure that you are not tempting other people.
No, it's all pretty much a choice. That's the whole beauty of purity culture. It's a choice. Like, you're choosing to dress modestly because you want to, because
It's not. No.
You have that dignity in yourself that you know that you don't have to dress immodestly.
No, that's not why. You're doing purity culture because someone taught you that was the right thing to do. You're not doing purity culture because you up and decided.
And it's
had a
also because I've grown to believe.
Yeah, because of what other people told you.
It's not also because I don't want to just.
Yeah, because of what someone told you. That this does not change the premise. This is not to change like the base of the thing. You were told thing was good. You now think thing is good. Like, and the reason you were told thing is good is because of patriarchal values. You can say that it's freedom all you want, but it's not. It's not freedom at all. You were told thing was good, so you believe thing is good. That's it. That's the whole thing.
Not quite. You're
I mean, I think too, you should really
taught
look at
values, and then
negative
you
aspects
can
of
choose for
purity culture.
yourself
Because, like,
if you
within
believe those
culture
values or
too,
not.
like, women's hymens have been viewed as a sense of purity. And even today, there are doctors who perform hymen tests on women, which I would argue would be a violation of their body because of how much virgins have been fetishized and how much that has been revered as what makes a valuable or a woman worth loving. I mean, even purity-themed balls is super, super weird, where essentially a girl pledges her virginity to her dad, like borderline incestuous, so super weird.
Yeah, that's weird. But like,
I mean, a lot of abstinence is the center of someone's identity. And then once that center is gone, they go into identity crisis. And they don't understand why they have a bad relationship with sex. And they don't understand why sex isn't this wonderful, pleasurable, intimate experience that they've been told. Because they, like, I don't care who you are, majority of the time you have sex, it's not going to be great.
yeah, but like, you know, all of those like the incestuous stuff, like that's not. It's I don't know who does that. That's really weird. But like, you know, it's
well,
not.
Well, look at all the traditions of marriage. Like the white dress is to symbolize purity. The father walking down the aisle is essentially saying this is a father's property and he's transferring it to another man. I mean, the whole virgin idea was strictly historically defined as essentially a girl who is independent of a man. Not even necessarily that she hadn't had sex, but she was independent of a man. And the reason, too, that a lot of men like say we need virgins is so that they can guarantee paternity.
You're right about that. That was how it was back in the day. But now, like we're in a different, you know, time, and people have changed their definition of what purity culture really means to them. And like now, like I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything, and that's like great for me because like I don't have to worry about fitting in.
Indoctrinated you.
I'm not indoctrinated. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. Like I'm perfectly happy. Like, you know, my friends, you know, I've been pressured before. Like I faced pressure from other people, and I'm like, you know what? I don't have to, you know, give in to your pressures because, you know, I know who I am. I know what I want.
You are.
I don't know who I am.
No, not at 18. Give me a
Okay.
break.
Well, I know. I'm pretty sure I know who I am. Thank you for your input. Just because you didn't find yourself or understand what your values were, then, you know, that's you. But I understand my values and I stick to my values.
You were told your values, and you're sticking to the values you were told to hold. Like this isn't whatever.
You have such little life experience. And for you to say, I know who I am with such little life experience, that's just naivety. Oh, she left.
Yeah, she dipped.
I think these are all friendly, so everyone come scream and let us know your thoughts, and then we're gonna end the live, y'all.
That's all.
Val.
Friendly here. Sorry, Kenzie. I just want to say great going tonight. And Jeff and Sean, you guys are, you girls and guys are.
I'm so fucking cute, bitch.